Hey guys, thanks for joining me on Tanks and Fish. Today we're here to talk about my favorite beginner plant. It's Java Fern. There's very many different variations of Java Fern. Today we're going to be mainly showing you one, maybe two. That's really all I have in my tanks. That's all I've kept lately. And I really only got them from a friend recently that was about to get rid of them, but I ended up taking them from him and throwing them in my tanks. So they're a little beat up. You might see them a little beat up, but they're still pretty healthy. The rhizomes are great. So I'll give you a brief rundown of what this plant is, how to take care of it, and why I like it so much. So stay tuned. And do me a favor, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and leave me any comments down below after the video. I'll definitely be getting to them as quick as I can. All right, so let's get into the Java Fern right away. The Java Fern is from Southeast Asia, where it basically grows in rivers. It doesn't grow buried in the river substrate. It actually grows right along the edges of the rivers. Sometimes it can actually grow out of the water. So this plant is very versatile. So the rhizome is the most important part of the Java Fern. You got to take care of the rhizome. You don't want to bury it underneath your substrate. Because of that fact, this is one of my favorite plants. You can actually grow it in sand aquariums all the way to bare bottom aquariums. There's no tank it can't grow in. Freshwater. Some say this plant can take some brackish water, can grow in brackish water. I've yet to see it myself. I had a brackish water tank set up for quite a while. I tried throwing some Java Fern in there to grow it out, see how it would work. I was never successful at it. So based on that, let's go ahead and talk about temperature. Temperature that this plant can grow in is anywhere between the mid 60s to mid 80s. It can take any temperature there. So it's a pretty good tropical aquarium plant. It's a good community plant. What kind of tank mates can you have with it? You can pretty much throw it in any tank. I've had it with cichlids, I've had it with guppies, and I've yet to see any real damage done to the leaves. Cichlids, as you know, are diggers. This plant, it's not going to get buried. You're going to be tying it down, letting it attach itself to a decoration, rock, wood, whatever, so cichlids won't affect it much. A lot of different community fish out there. There's some nibblers that, you know, chew on leaves. Goldfish are notorious. So I wouldn't really recommend throwing them with goldfish, but I have had some with goldfish myself, and goldfish that I had tended to stay away from it. They would never really go after it and pretty much just leave it alone. So do so at your own risk. Research your tank mates before you just start throwing them in any tank. The next thing, lighting. Lighting's important to this plant? Not so much. It can actually take low to moderate light, any high lighting, and I've noticed that this plant actually starts turning a lighter green. It goes translucent. So in my experience with the plant, you want to keep it to a low to moderate light. Usually you'll see the best success. This plant's natural color is a nice dark green. So if you start seeing it get light, all of a sudden, you're probably putting too much light on it. So low to moderate light. Fertilizers, you don't really need any. This plant feeds well off the water column, so having fish in your tank just pretty much is enough nutrients for the plant to grow successfully. If you want to add fertilizers, or you have other plants in your tank where you're adding fertilizers, this plant will take them. It's not going to speed its growth by, you know, a huge amount. Adding CO2 to this plant is not going to get it to grow crazy. It's a slow grower as it is. So adding anything extra isn't going to do much for you. This plant is a low maintenance plant, so you're actually wasting money by getting crazy with it. We talked about the rhizome already. The rhizome is an important part. You don't want to bury it. How do you attach it to a decoration or whatever? You basically get your decoration. I actually have one here. You get your rock, decoration, whatever you want, and you get your brand new Java Fern. You get the rhizome, you put it on the rock, and you can super glue it down. I believe Corey from Aquarium Co-op actually has a video actually in detail showing you how to do it. So I'm not going to make a video about it. Just go and watch this video. So basically just super glue it to a decoration, put a little string on it, attach it down till the plant's roots actually start sticking themselves to the decoration itself. If you don't want to attach it to any decoration, you can actually just put a little piece of weight on it and let it hit your substrate. Eventually it'll attach itself to enough substrate that'll hold itself down that you can remove that weight off of it. When you are attaching it to something, be careful not to damage the rhizome. The rhizome is the heart of the plant. That's where all the leaves sprout out of it. So you don't want to damage that rhizome. Propagating. Here's a little baby plant that I picked off one of my Java ferns not too long ago. Basically, the baby plants grow on the leaves of the parent plant. You'll see the plant leaf start developing these black dots all along the back side of it. 2 rows just up and down. Those little black dots are actually seeds where the new plants start growing. So if you see that, it's not your plant dying, it's your plant propagating. Eventually you'll see little leaves come out of those little black dots. You'll see little rhizomes start growing. I'd usually wait a little bit till there's enough plant there that peeling it off won't damage it. So don't peel it off as soon as you see a leaf. Let it keep growing just a little bit longer. Get a nice pair of tweezers, fine point tweezers, and gently peel it off. Once you get that rhizome off, you can get that new plant and attach it to a small piece of wood, rock, super glue it on, and let it grow out till it gets bigger, and then move it on to a bigger decoration that you want. Let's talk about the last thing, it's height. How big does this plant get? Well, this plant gets pretty big. So this plant, I wouldn't so much recommend it for a small nano aquarium. I'd recommend it for, about, I'd say a 20-gallon minimum for it to look decent. You can put them in a 10-gallon if you keep it trimmed, but these plants can grow up to about 15 inches. I've had a plant actually grow that long myself. I've never seen anything higher. Is it possible? I don't know. But I've seen about 15 inches in my own tanks. Usually I try to keep them down to about the 10-inch length. And that gives you a nice effect throughout your aquarium. They're a mid-ground to background plant. You don't want to put them in the front of your aquarium. That'll just block the entire view of your aquarium. So keep them in the background, mid-ground, and you can keep little bunches of them and they look really spectacular. As you can see in my videos, what I've been showing you so far in my tanks, I kind of have 2 bunches in my tanks of 2 different Java fern species. They're all pretty much the same, they just look different, so you can pretty much take care of them all the same way. So they give you a good effect once bunched up or completely in your background. So when you're shopping for them, don't look at brown rhizomes. If you see a brown rhizome, skip that plant. It's pretty much on its way out the door. You want to see a nice, healthy green rhizome, nice, thick, a little pliable, but not too much. If it's already attached to a decoration, just make sure that you've seen growth on it. The leaves, you want to make sure they're nice dark green. Of course, the leaves, you can trim any kind of dead leaves off. As long as that rhizome is healthy, it'll sprout new leaves. The way the rhizome works is it's pretty much just a little stick that just keeps growing over time and growing and growing and growing. And that rhizome starts sprouting leaves on it. So if that rhizome dies, you won't see any more leaves. So make sure that rhizome is healthy. Brown leaves on it might be an indication there's a problem, so you want to make sure the leaves are nice, dark green. If you see the little brown spots along the back, that's just it propagating itself. If you see brown all over the plant, spots all over the plant, those are indications there's something going on with that plant. All right, guys, well, that concludes our video into Java ferns. I hope I was able to teach you something and not ramble too much throughout the video. If I did teach you anything and you'd like to leave any comments below, please do so. Please remember to like and subscribe, and hopefully I can get another video out to you guys soon. Thanks again for joining me. Appreciate you guys so much for taking the time and watching this, and we'll see you on the next one.